My friend, listen to me carefully today. You might be going through a season where everything feels delayed, where prayers seem unanswered, and hope looks distant. But let me tell you something straight from the heart of God. He has not forgotten you. Heaven still remembers your name, your tears, and your faith. God is working behind the curtain, preparing a breakthrough so powerful that when it arrives, you'll understand why it took this long. Sometimes, before the miracle comes, silence fills the room. But silence doesn't mean absence, it means preparation. You are not being ignored, you are being positioned. God is bringing you into a divine turnaround that will shift your story forever. So, if this message is speaking to your soul right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay connected. Because what's coming next in your life will be the proof that God never forgot you. He's about to bring you into your breakthrough. Stay ready, stay expectant, because your season is changing. When it feels like heaven is silent and nothing is moving, remember that silence is never the absence of God. It is often the moment when He is working in secret, crafting something far beyond your understanding. There are times when you cry out, asking where He is, wondering if He still sees you. But it is in that stillness where God is shaping what is to come. He watches how you hold on when nothing seems to change. Every unanswered prayer, every quiet night when you question your worth, is not ignored. It is noticed by the one who never forgets His promise. He uses silence to mature your spirit, to teach you how to walk by faith rather than sight. When you can't trace His hand, you must trust His heart. God's silence is not punishment, but preparation. It is the space where He refines your patience and strengthens your endurance. He hides Himself, not because He is gone, but because He is building you for something weightier than you can now carry. When God seems quiet, He is not withdrawing from your life. He is constructing the foundation for your next level. Just as a seed remains buried before it breaks open, your silent season is not an end. It is the beginning of transformation. Many people mistake silence for rejection, but God's silence is protection. He is shielding you from opportunities that are too small for the purpose He has placed within you. What feels like being overlooked is often God reserving you for something extraordinary. You may not see it, but behind the scenes He is moving hearts, shifting circumstances, and aligning divine connections that will appear at the appointed time. You think nothing is happening, yet heaven is rearranging everything on your behalf. The doors that seem closed are not locked. They are simply waiting for your readiness. God's silence is the unseen proof that He is working in your favor. The quiet is not empty. It is full of His strategy. The moments when He feels far away are the moments when He is closest, whispering strength into your spirit, molding your character, and preparing your name to be spoken in rooms you have not entered yet. When the noise fades and life feels still, that is the holy space where God invites you to listen deeper. He wants to remove the distractions that drown out His whisper. In the stillness, He strengthens your identity and rebuilds your confidence. The silence becomes sacred because it separates you from the chaos and draws you closer to Him. Many lose faith in this place because they crave quick answers. But those who endure will see glory unfold. God's delay is not denial. It is His way of saying, I am not done writing your story. Every unanswered prayer carries the seed of a greater blessing. Every quiet season carries divine direction. The silence is the sound of God's construction. He is designing your destiny with precision. If He gave you everything too soon, you would not be able to handle the weight of it. So He waits, molds, and refines. His silence is proof that He is still in control. When nothing seems to move, that is when God is doing His deepest work. The silence is not the end of your story. It is the stage being built for your breakthrough. When God begins to move you toward your breakthrough, the shift often starts quietly, almost unnoticeably. It doesn't begin with a trumpet sound or a visible sign. It begins in your spirit. Something deep within starts to stir. You feel uncomfortable where you once felt at ease. The things that used to satisfy you suddenly lose their flavor. That discomfort is not confusion. It is divine movement. God is repositioning you for a greater assignment. You might not see it, but the shaking is not meant to break you. It is meant to wake you. The walls you thought were protecting, you are being shaken because they are now limiting you. God will never let you stay in a place smaller than your purpose. So He stirs your spirit to remind you that there is more. Every closed door is not rejection but redirection. The pain you feel is the pressure of transition. When something inside of you starts to grow beyond your surroundings, it is a sign that God is calling you to new territory. In these moments, God is testing your obedience more than your strength. When He calls you out of comfort, He is not asking if you can handle the pressure. He is asking if you will trust His plan. The path to breakthrough is not paved with ease, but with surrender. You must be willing to walk when you do not have all the answers. Faith is not about understanding every step. It is about trusting that every step has meaning. When you move with faith, heaven moves with you. God honors those who walk in obedience, even when they are afraid. He is not looking for perfection. He is looking for willingness. The moment you decide to trust Him beyond your feelings, the atmosphere begins to shift. The unseen barriers start to fall. You might not notice it right away, but your act of faith sets divine motion in place. The way forward may feel uncertain, but God's path is always precise. The same hand that led you into the wilderness will lead you into the promise. Every trial, every delay, every tear you shed along the way becomes part of the bridge that leads to your breakthrough. Your breakthrough often hides behind obedience that doesn't make sense. God will tell you to take steps that defy logic because He wants you to see that your success comes from His power, not your plan. The moments that feel impossible are the ones that birth transformation. What feels like the hardest battle is often the doorway to your next blessing. Breakthrough is not an instant event. It is a process of becoming who you were created to be. God does not just want to open a door for you. He wants to make you ready to walk through it. That's why He allows resistance. Resistance builds faith. It forces you to rely on His strength rather than your own. When you face obstacles, don't curse them. They are the signs that your blessing is near. The enemy only fights what carries value. The greater the struggle, the greater the manifestation waiting on the other side. So when you feel stretched, when you feel like giving up, when everything seems to fall apart. Remember this truth. The pressure you feel is the sound of heaven opening. God has not forgotten you. He is aligning everything for your elevation. Your breakthrough is not coming. It is already unfolding. Each step you take in faith is proof that He is still working behind the curtain, preparing the victory that will soon be revealed. Faith is the unseen force that turns the impossible into possible. It is the bridge that connects your prayers to your answers. When life becomes uncertain and the waiting seems endless, faith is what keeps your spirit alive. God does not respond to fear. He responds to faith. When you hold on to what He promised, even when you cannot trace His hand, heaven takes notice. Faith is not an emotion. It is an inner decision to believe beyond what your eyes can see. When your situation tells you to give up, faith whispers, keep going. It is not built in comfort. It is forged in silence, in tears, and in the moments when you feel forgotten. True faith is tested in the seasons where nothing seems to move. When everything around you looks still, God is still working. He is teaching you to depend on His timing, not your own. The power of faith is that it attracts divine movement. When you choose to believe, even with trembling hands and a weary heart, you activate a spiritual law that brings supernatural help. Faith does not need evidence. It creates evidence. When you take one step forward, heaven multiplies your effort. God moves in response to expectation. Every time you speak words of belief instead of doubt, you are aligning yourself with the frequency of miracles. Faith is not about having everything figured out. It is about trusting the one who already has. God is not late. He is precise. Every delay has a divine reason. Every closed door carries hidden protection. Every no from God is preparing the way for a greater yes. When your faith refuses to die, you become unstoppable. Mountains bow to faith. Fear melts in the presence of faith. It is the fire that keeps your soul alive when everything else turns cold. Your faith is also your weapon. The enemy's greatest goal is to break your confidence in God's promise. He does not attack what is weak. He attacks what carries potential. That is why, in the darkest hour, faith becomes your light. It is not just believing in God's ability. It is standing firm in His character. When faith becomes your foundation, storms can rage, but they cannot destroy you. Every great destiny begins with one act of faith. Noah built before the rain. Abraham moved without a map. Moses spoke before the sea parted. They all walked with faith that looked foolish to others, but powerful to God. When you live by faith, you stop depending on signs and start depending on the voice of God. You stop waiting for approval from people and start standing on what heaven already declared. The path may look uncertain, but your faith will guide you. So hold on to your faith, even when the nights are long, even when prayers seem unanswered, even when people walk away. Faith is the seed that grows in silence. It carries power even when it feels small. God said, if you have faith as tiny as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. That is not a metaphor. It is a divine truth. Your faith is not weak because it wavers. It is strong because it refuses to die. Every day you choose to believe is a victory in itself. You might not see the results today, but the shift has already begun. God honors faith. He never overlooks a heart that chooses to trust Him in the dark. When you stand firm and refuse to surrender, heaven begins to align things in your favor. The moment your faith becomes unshakable, your breakthrough becomes unstoppable. Faith is your key. Hold it tightly, because it will unlock every door that God has prepared for your next season. When your heart chooses to remain faithful in silence and obedience, something powerful begins to happen in the unseen realm. God observes the posture of your spirit more than the words of your lips. Obedience opens the gates that prayer alone cannot. Many people speak about faith, but few truly understand that obedience is the evidence of belief. When you follow God's instruction, even when it challenges your comfort, you release favor into motion. Every act of submission becomes a seed that heaven waters. Obedience may not make sense in the moment, but it carries divine direction that leads to destiny. When God tells you to wait, He is not withholding your blessing. He is shaping you into someone capable of holding it. Every divine promise carries weight, and only a heart trained in patience can sustain it. The waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. God rewards consistency. He is not impressed by emotional moments of excitement, but by steady hearts that stay aligned when life turns heavy. When you choose integrity over shortcuts and gratitude over complaint, you are creating a spiritual atmosphere where miracles thrive. Obedience builds strength that no storm can destroy. The moment you decide to walk in alignment with heaven, you stop fighting for blessings and start attracting them. What others chase begins to chase you. Obedience unlocks favor because it signals trust. It tells heaven that you believe God's word more than your circumstances. When your decisions reflect your devotion, divine timing unfolds naturally. Doors begin to open without effort. Paths clear themselves. The right people appear without struggle. This is the mystery of surrender. When you stop forcing your way, you make room for God's perfect way. Every act of obedience carries a ripple effect. It doesn't just change your life. It transforms generations. Your faithfulness becomes a bridge for those who come after you. When you remain loyal to God's voice in private, He rewards you publicly. The unseen sacrifices you make today become the unseen protection you experience tomorrow. Obedience is not weakness. It is authority under control. It is strength wrapped in humility. When your heart bows before God, everything that opposes you begins to bow as well. You cannot walk in divine power without walking in divine order. God will never give authority to a heart that refuses alignment. The greater your obedience, the greater your influence. Every breakthrough, every promotion, every miracle you've been praying for is connected to your willingness to follow instruction without hesitation. Breakthrough does not come from effort alone. It flows from alignment. When your heart and your steps match heaven's rhythm, everything begins to fall into place. The reason many people delay their blessings is not because God said no, but because they refuse to follow the last instruction He gave. When you start walking in obedience again, you restart the flow of favor. God's timing is perfect, but it requires cooperation. When He says move, you move. When He says wait, you stand still. When He says give, you release. Every instruction is a doorway to revelation. The key is trust. Even when you do not understand, you obey because you know His voice will never lead you into failure. Every moment you walk in obedience builds a testimony that cannot be shaken. And when the appointed hour arrives, the same obedience that tested you will elevate you. The reward is not only what you receive, but who you become. The heart that stays faithful becomes unbreakable. The life that walks in surrender becomes unstoppable. God's timing never fails, and obedience is the path that brings you into the fullness of that promise. You think it's over, but God is just beginning to reveal what He's been building in the dark. The pressure you felt wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every disappointment was divine redirection. Every delay was a setup for something greater. God is not finished with you. He is about to shift your life so powerfully that even your enemies will know it was His hand. The chains that held you are breaking. The walls that limited you are falling. What is coming next is not small. It's going to shake the very atmosphere around you. So don't you dare stop now. This is your divine moment. Stand firm. Speak faith. Walk like you already have the victory because heaven has already released it. When God moves, no power can resist Him. When He decides it's your time, nothing can stop it. You're about to walk into a season where everything changes. The same hands that carried you through the fire are now about to crown you with favor. You've been hidden for a reason, but now God is about to reveal you for His glory. If this message touched your soul, don't leave without staying connected. Subscribe to the channel right now and keep your spirit ready for what's coming next. Because the next time you hear my voice, you won't be in the same place. You'll be standing in the middle of your breakthrough, testifying that God never forgot you and that His power made the impossible possible. Your new season starts now.